These kids are horrible. That's exactly what legendary footballer Alan Hansen was thinking on that fateful evening of August 19th, 1995, when Manchester United had just suffered a crushing 3-1 defeat to Aston Villa. As the cameras rolled on Match of the Day, Hansen delivered what would become one of football's most infamous predictions. "You can't win anything with kids," he declared with absolute certainty, referring to United's young squad, featuring unknown teenagers like David Beckham, Paul Scholes, and the Neville brothers. But here's the thing about Alan Hansen. This wasn't just some random pundit spouting nonsense. This was a man who knew football better than almost anyone alive. Born in Southsea, Scotland, on June 13, 1955, Hansen had actually considered becoming a professional golfer before choosing football. He even rejected an offer from Hibernian Football Club to pursue his golfing dreams. Fortunately for Liverpool fans, he changed his mind and joined Partick Thistle alongside his brother John, winning the Scottish First Division Championship in 1975-76. Liverpool spotted his talent and signed him for £100,000 in May 1977. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Over 14 magnificent years at Anfield, Hansen became the cornerstone of one of football's greatest dynasties. He made 620 appearances for the club, lifting an incredible 23 trophies, 8 league championship titles, 3 European Cups, 4 League Cups, and 2 FA Cups. His trophy cabinet was simply ridiculous. Hansen wasn't your typical defender either. In an era when centre-backs were expected to boot the ball upfield and ask questions later, he was remarkably skillful and composed. He could play the ball out from the back with precision, read the game like a chess master, and rarely put a foot wrong. Under Bob Paisley, he won nearly 60% of his matches. Under Joe Fagan, 54%, and under Kenny Dalglish, an impressive 62%. His overall win rate of nearly 59% across 620 games tells you everything about his consistency and quality. The famous quote that would define his media career wasn't even his original thought. Hansen later admitted to Jamie Redknapp that it was actually a flipped version of something his former manager, Bob Paisley, used to say. Paisley's philosophy was that experience is everything, but he believed in balance, a nucleus of players around 26 years old, a couple of youngsters, and a few older heads. Ironically, that 1995 Manchester United team perfectly embodied Paisley's philosophy, mixing youth with experienced stars like Roy Keane, Peter Schmeichel, and Gary Pallister. The young players Hansen criticised were something special though. David Beckham was 20, as were Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, and Paul Scholes. Phil Neville was just 18. These weren't just any kids. They were products of United's famous academy, the class of '92, who would go on to become some of English football's greatest ever players. But on that August evening, after watching them struggle in a 3-1 defeat, Hansen's professional instincts told him they needed more experience. What happened next was pure footballing magic. Manchester United didn't just prove Hansen wrong, they obliterated his prediction in the most spectacular fashion possible. The team that supposedly couldn't win anything with kids went on to win the Premier League and FA Cup double. They bounced back from that opening day defeat with incredible determination, winning their next 5 Premier League games and finishing the season with 82 points to claim the title. Now that we've revisited that moment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that prediction was really that bad, or was it just a bit of punditry that went wrong? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join our community and never miss another story. Hansen's punditry career began in 1992 when he joined Match of the Day, becoming a Saturday night fixture for over 2 decades. His style was distinctive, characterised by laconic delivery and sharp analysis. He wasn't afraid to call out poor defending, coining phrases like diabolical and shocking when criticising defensive lapses. These weren't just sound bites, they reflected the incredibly high standards he'd maintained throughout his playing career. But there was more to Hansen than met the eye. After retiring from punditry in 2014, he revealed something remarkable. His decision wasn't because he was going out on top, as he'd publicly stated. The real reason was crippling nerves. For 22 years, this man who appeared so confident and authoritative on television had been battling severe anxiety about performing on live TV. His composed, sometimes dour delivery story wasn't arrogance or indifference. It was a carefully constructed mask hiding profound vulnerability. This revelation completely changes how we view his career. The man who seemed so sure of himself when delivering that famous prediction was actually struggling with deep-seated fears about public performance. It adds a tragic human dimension to his legacy that makes him more relatable, not less respected. Hansen's international career with Scotland earned him 26 caps, though he controversially missed the 1986 World Cup. His club achievements far outweighed any international disappointments, though. He holds the individual record for most league titles at Liverpool with 8 championships, a testament to his consistency and longevity at the highest level. The Hillsborough disaster of April 15th, 1989 marked the darkest period of Hansen's life. As Liverpool captain, he was on the pitch when the tragedy unfolded during the FA Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest. He attended 12 funerals and visited injured fans in hospital. He described it as the blackest period of his life, an experience that took more out of him emotionally than anything he'd ever endured. This shows the depth of character beneath the composed public persona. Hansen's famous quote became legendary precisely because he got it so dramatically wrong. Manchester United's success that season created the perfect narrative tension. The respected pundits' public doubt became the motivation those young players needed. They even admitted initially agreeing with Hansen before using his words as fuel to prove him wrong. His prediction didn't just fail, it became part of football folklore. The beautiful irony is that Hansen's greatest professional mistake became his most iconic success. He later admitted the line pretty much made him, not just financially, but as a cultural icon. In the modern media landscape, this spectacular failure created a more compelling narrative than decades of flawless analysis ever could have. Hansen's playing style perfectly matched Liverpool's philosophy under their legendary managers. He excelled in a system that emphasised intelligent defending and playing out from the back with simple, accurate passing. His later punditry, with its emphasis on defensive standards and tactical awareness, was a direct extension of his playing philosophy. In 2024, the football world united in concern when Hansen was hospitalised with a serious illness. The outpouring of support from fans, colleagues and former players like Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer was immense. He was discharged on June 23rd, with his family thanking the public for their overwhelming support. A fitting final chapter was added in 2025, when Hansen was appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire for services to football and broadcasting. On May 25th, he presented the Premier League trophy to Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk, celebrating the club's record equalling 20th league title. Alan Hansen's story proves that sometimes our greatest failures become our most enduring successes. Yes, he spectacularly misjudged those Manchester United youngsters, but this mistake doesn't diminish his incredible achievements. 8 league titles as a player, 23 trophies overall, 620 appearances of consistent excellence, and over 2 decades of authoritative punditry. Hansen's influence extended far beyond his playing and punditry careers. His analytical approach helped shape how football was discussed on television. Before Hansen, football analysis was often superficial. He brought a player's perspective to the studio, breaking down defensive movements and tactical decisions with the authority of someone who had lived it at the highest level. His criticism wasn't born from ignorance, but from the exacting standards he had maintained throughout his career. The timing of his famous quote was particularly unfortunate because it came at the dawn of the Premier League era. Football was changing rapidly, with younger players being given more opportunities than ever before. Hansen's comment reflected an older mindset, but the sport was evolving. Those Manchester United youngsters represented a new generation of footballer, technically gifted and mentally strong enough to handle pressure from an early age. What makes Hansen's story even more compelling is how gracefully he handled being proven wrong. Rather than doubling down or making excuses, he embraced the mistake. He often joked about it in later years, showing the kind of humility that had characterized his playing career. This wasn't a man consumed by ego, but someone who could laugh at himself and acknowledge when he got it wrong. The psychological aspect of his punditry career adds another layer to his story. Knowing he battled crippling anxiety for over 2 decades makes his composed television presence even more impressive. Every appearance required him to overcome genuine fear, yet he never let it show. This hidden struggle makes his longevity in broadcasting all the more remarkable. Hansen's retirement from television in 2014 marked the end of an era. His departure coincided with a shift in football punditry toward more emotional, expressive analysis. The measured, authoritative style he represented gave way to passionate debate and controversial opinions designed to generate social media buzz. His era was more thoughtful, less sensational. The man who couldn't win anything with kids actually won everything there was to win in football. His legacy isn't defined by one wrong prediction, but by a lifetime of excellence, quiet leadership, and genuine love for the beautiful game. That's why Alan Hansen remains one of football's most respected figures, even 30 years after his most famous mistake.